Savoy, how we doing, guys? We're reviewing the first label, the first issue LP, and all the great jazz labels. Right now we're going to talk about Savoy. This is number 12,000, issued in 1955. This is recordings from probably 47, 48. It's definitely taken from a number of different sessions. Miles Davis is on a lot of these tracks. Tiny Grimes shows up on some of it. Bud Powell, Tommy Potter, Max Roach. There's some false starts and false takes on these collections. Miles is 21 on his tracks here with Parker. Parker's of course, one of the great figures and names in jazz. A super innovative character, and he kind of predates the LP era for the most part. But you saw Verve launch their 8,000 series with Parker, and the first 9 of the first 13 Verve 8,000 records are Parker. Savoy's in a very similar boat. Savoy's recordings are more from the 40s. The Verve stuff's more from the early 50s. But if you look at the early Savoy discography, in the first 20 there's probably 6 Parker records, and even into the 12,100 sequence, they're still putting Parker sessions out, repackaging them. A lot of these were issued numerous times. They probably sold okay. Some of these will have a red font added to them, different labels, different pressings. Beautiful old cover, beautiful session, beautiful record. Savoy, of course, if you've watched my episodes over the years, Herman Lubinsky was a real taskmaster, didn't tolerate race relations very well, didn't appreciate his black musicians, nor the money that they were generating him. He's renowned for just really being kind of a racist, gluttonous pig. And that being said, Lubinsky still brought in some of the best and recorded some of the best jazz of the late 40s post-war years. He has Fats Navarro, he has Dizzy Gillespie, Lester Young, just a lot of the greats end up being at the Savoy label in the late 40s. In the early 12,000 series, Lubinsky is just issuing all that material onto the LP, allowing people to have access to it in a new format where they can kind of call it together and have access to it. Anything in the 12,000 series by Savoy is worth grabbing if you see it. Even if you've never heard of it, it's all really solid artists, really great players. I've said many times before, you can't really get into a recording studio in 1956 unless you could play. You're not going to waste expensive reel-to-reel tape and studio time on some guy who can't play. So even the guys you've never heard of, even the White Cats you've never heard of, they're all great players. They can all play. And the difference is going to be where they're coming from, what's their story, what's their personality, what are they emoting and telling you, what are they making you feel. And sometimes the greatest virtuosity won't make you feel what the blues can. And that's the Savoy story in a nutshell. It's just a real varied camp. And there's a lot of really weird white recording artists of Savoy that are pretty much all forgotten. And all these legends that Lubinsky treated like shit and paid poorly, they are all giants and are collectible. And all the Savoy records that are worth money are by those black artists that you didn't give a shit about. And Savoy, it was a fairly black heavy label, but they certainly give a lot of Italians and some Jews and some other white guys records and opportunities, but none of those records have had staying power. None of them. I did an episode on the great white jazz musicians and the obscure white jazz musicians, and if you look at the episode where I talk about Savoy, there's a lot of really obscure white stuff that happens on Savoy. But this session, like I said, it's from 47, 48, and it's quality Parker. You know, he's in good form here. He's probably high, but he's not a functioning high. Doesn't sound like he's strung out. And like I said, a 21-year-old Miles Davis is on some of these tracks, which makes it noteworthy in and of itself. You hear young Miles at that age as he's developing and cutting his teeth with these giants. If you see Old Savoys, I would recommend you buy them. And it's a humid jungle in this town today. It's approaching 90 degrees, 80% humidity. I am sweating just sitting here talking to this camera. So I'm not trying to be gross or Miami Vice. It's just the realities of where I live and having no central air. And in Minnesota, to be fair, you really only need central air maybe 60 days a year. You know, you get plenty of cool summer days up here. 10 months of the year, you don't need it. So I have a pool in the backyard. I'll struggle through the heat, and I'll keep making these episodes for you. But again, and that's Parker, 12,000. Y'all be safe. Talk to you soon. Peace.